Good afternoon. I'm Rakesh Naidu, President and CEO of the Windsor-Essex Regional Chamber of Commerce, and welcome back to the Chamber's mayoral debate for the three municipalities in the County of Essex. We have candidates from the town of Kingsville with us, and we're looking forward to the debate. All the candidates that confirmed their participation before the deadline, they were invited to this debate. As regards the questions for the debate, the Chamber had identified some of these issues that were identified, and there was a feedback that we received from a survey that was sent out earlier. Those questions and those concerns were taken as inputs for the questions that we'll be posing to the candidates today. Today's debate will be live streamed on Chamber's YouTube channel and also on Facebook. A recording of the debate will be available on the Chamber's YouTube channel. So today's debate will be moderated by Mike Kakuk. Mike doesn't need any introduction. As we know, he's the well-known co-host of the #1 morning show in Windsor-Essex, The Morning Drive at AM 800 CKLW. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mike. Over to you, Mike.
All right. Thanks very much, Rakesh. Great to be here. This is kind of like round two now as we go to the town of Kingsville. I am Mike Kakuk from AM 800, The Morning Drive, 5 to 9 weekday mornings. And so what we have now for the next hour or so, three candidates from the town of Kingsville that are going for the seat of mayor. And the election coming up not too far from now, October 24th. A lot of advance polls are open as well. This is a timed debate. So we have a timekeeper here, Wendy Fulton from the Chamber, who will tell the candidates when they are almost out of time with their answer, and then when they are out of time, and we'll try to keep things timely and move on. We have a number of questions. We have, again, three candidates who are here. And these questions have been put together by the Windsor-Essex Chamber of Commerce. And hopefully you're going to get a chance to watch. And if you can't watch now, share it to yourself, share it to friends. And if they are looking to get more information about this election that is coming up on the 24th in the town of Kingsville, specifically this hour, then they can certainly do that. We are live here at the Chamber of Commerce, and we do have the three candidates now who are with us from the town who are going for the seat of mayor. We have Laura Lucier, Dennis Rogers, and Tamara Stomp all here. And we're going to get their thoughts and opening remarks. And we'll start that right now. And we had a draw a few weeks ago, back in September, to see the order of when the candidates would each speak with their opening remarks. And we're going to start for 2 minutes. And we'll start with you, Tamara Stomp.
Hello. My name is Tamara Stomp, and I am running for mayor in Kingsville. The reason I believe I have the skill set in order to be able to lead the council table in the next 4 years of deliberations is because I have 11 previous years of council. First of all, I was elected in 2003, then 2006, and acclaimed deputy mayor in 2010 to 2014. That adds on the added duties of going to county council, which is the upper tier. My competitors do not have that experience, level, nor amount of years. I also have a lot of knowledge from going and to all those meetings and all those subcommittee meetings, etc. And through the years, I've also continued to be involved with all of the nonprofits that I am involved with. So I believe that I would be the best choice for the skill set that's needed to go into the many problems that I think are going to come to the council table in the future. And I would like to represent Kingsville and cooperate with everyone, listen, research, and find the best decision for how to move our town forward. Thank you.
All right, Tamara, thank you very much. That is Tamara Stomp, one of three candidates for mayor of the town of Kingsville. And we go next up to Dennis Rogers. Dennis?
Hello, my name is Dennis Rogers, candidate for mayor of Kingsville, Cottam, and Ruthven. I just want to thank the Windsor-Essex Chamber for this opportunity. Moderator, I want to thank you for being here today. I want to thank the candidates for being here today. My wife, Haley, and I, we grew up in Kingsville. And after I got my business degree from Wayne State, years later, we ended up in Ohio. So I was head of operations for 2 locations for a large corporate hospitality company. And I had a staff of about 100 people, managed multi-million dollars in sales. I learned a great deal of business knowledge and budgets and planning. But, more importantly, I learned about leadership, and I learned about people, and I learned about culture. I learned how to bring people together. Learn about how to bring people to the table to talk, support, elevate those around you for a common vision, and you achieve that through results. This is what sets me apart as a mayoral candidate, is my ability to be able to lead people. I've led delegations on behalf of small businesses, on behalf of arts and culture, on behalf of community organizations. I've led community organizations who have brought federal and provincial tax dollars into our community. We're coming out of some really dark times in recent history. People are hurting, businesses are failing. Our business was on the verge. But in that dark time, we rallied, we got some partners, we brought organizations to the table, and we opened up our side door and we fed this community when you needed it most. That wasn't experience that made those tough decisions. It was leadership. And that's why you should vote Dennis Rogers as mayor. Thank you.
All right, Dennis, thank you very much. And now for opening comments, 2 minutes for, or make that, it is 2 minutes. Laura Lucier. Here, go ahead, Laura.
Thank you. Hello, Kingsville. I'm Councillor Laura Lucier, and I'd like to be your next mayor. When I moved to Kingsville 20 years ago, it was a sleepy little town, and it concerned me that young people couldn't wait to graduate and to leave. Now, Kingsville's an attractive destination, not only to tourists, but to people from across the county, the province, and the country. Our young people want to stay, and those that have left are anxious to return. This is the sign of a healthy community and has positive implications for our future. It also poses challenges as we work to manage growth and development and to ensure Kingsville remains the safe, friendly community with the small town charm that we all love. I believe that we have the ability to overcome these challenges that we will face over the next 4 years if we work together as a team to achieve our common goals and vision. Over the past 20 years, I've actively contributed to the community, working tirelessly to benefit our town. As councillor, I've been engaged, available, and responsive to residents. As mayor, I will continue to focus on customer service and communication, representing Kingsville with a strong, positive voice, ensuring all residents are treated fairly, and building collaborative relationships to move Kingsville's agenda forward. It's a big job, and I'm committed to dedicating 100% of my time and energy to the town of Kingsville and the position of mayor. Together we're stronger, together we're better, and together we've got this. Thank you.
Okay, Laura, thank you very much. So there are the opening marks from our three candidates for the mayor's seat in the town of Kingsville. An important mayoral race, as they all are, but one of the few that where there is a race, there will be a new mayor in the town of Kingsville, with Nelson Santos moving on to a different position, deciding not to run for re-election. So there will be someone new at the top in the mayor's office in the town of Kingsville. Now we have a series of questions we're going to ask our candidates. They'll have 90 seconds to answer those, and then get 45 seconds as a rebuttal as we go through the different questions that we have prepared today. And we're going to start with 90 seconds. We'll start with you, Tamara Stomp. And it's a really simple question to all three of you that will answer this. Tamara, we'll start with you. Why are you running for the mayor's position?
Because I've been watching council in the time that I have not been on it these last 8 years. And I see that there are major issues coming to the fore, and there are special interest groups and different factions, and they need guidance and they need leadership. I also saw that there had been time for a change in leadership, and I was ready to run as of May 2nd when we were able to put in our papers, and I've never veered from that. I've been winding down my practice in order to accommodate the time that's needed to attend council, but I did it before when I was also in a full-time practice. I've done 41 years of legal work where I have more skills and knowledge from doing people's separations, where I see their financial situation, and I know it's tough and hard out there. And so I believe that this needs a real generous touch with respect to inclusivity, listening to everyone, researching and making the right decision that is going to benefit all. It also is a balancing act of different factions and different needs. We have a situation where we have a lot of growth in many different areas, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. And that means that we need to have a new way of dealing with things with smart growth and balanced growth.
Okay, thank you very much. So we'll pose the next question to Dennis Rogers, and same question, of course. Why are you running for the mayor's position?
Well, my wife and I, we grew up in this town. At that point, it was, a single stoplight and Godfather's Pizza at the Four Corners. And, we were fortunate enough to do some things. We moved back in 2012. It was always important for us to bring our family back to this community. That's when we started our business, Greenheart. And since day one, involvement in the community was a high priority for me. So I started getting involved in community organizations. So the Kingsville Music Society has been around for 9 years. Actually, next year is going to be our 10th year. I've been acting president for the last 5 years. So we've brought, over 50 free concerts to our area. We've generated over $3 million in tourism spending brought to our community. I've been fortunate to be a part of organizations where from the starting point to elevation to sustainability to drop off during the pandemic. And then we brought it back with new ideas and new faces, and it was a hit. The Greenway Jam we did was tremendous. I look in terms of our business model for Greenheart it's always been to be involved within the community and give back. And that's when I started getting involved in delegations to council. That's when I started getting involved in delegations for small businesses and for arts and culture. And I found that there has been a gap for leadership. In my experience with leadership, of rallying people, getting people on the same page, I'm a proven leader within this community. I've done it with organizations, I've done it in the business world, and I will do it with Kingsville.
Okay, Dennis Rogers, thank you very much. Talking to the candidates from the town of Kingsville, and we get that question posed now to, why are you running for the mayor's position, to Laura Lucier?
Thank you. I'm running for mayor because I love the town of Kingsville. I've been on council the last 4 years and enjoyed it tremendously. It's certainly challenging and time-consuming, but it's extremely rewarding. I've built some wonderful relationships with our current council, with our staff and administration, and with folks around the county table and at higher levels of government. It's been a tremendous experience for me. I believe that councilors work really hard, and they need to feel respected and valued. They need to be able to express their diverse opinions and represent the residents of Kingsville as best as they can, and feel that they are able to contribute. And I think that the mayor's job is to bring the team together, to bring the elected representatives together, to form a common vision of Kingsville, and to set goals and work toward achieving those goals together in a respectful and collaborative manner. And that is my plan.
Okay, thank you very much, Laura Lucier. And now we will go to all three candidates for a little response, rebuttal, if they'd like. Tomorrow, Stomp, you have 45 seconds.
Well, I only want to point out that I've lived there all my life, and that's a long time at this point. And I have raised my children there. And I only went away for school and a little bit of work, and then came back to get married and have my children there. So I'm very conscious of what has gone on through all the time to the town. And I have a larger historical background than either of my contenders. And that historical background helps to answer some early questions. So I think that I can bring to the table a lot more.
Okay, 45 seconds now for Dennis Rogers.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And to me, leadership is not always about the individual. It's about the team that you build and the team that you elevate. And I've been fortunate within my life and my career to be surrounded by some great teams, and we will continue to do that. The teams I have in my camp now is, they have over 60 years of municipal experience, and that's within local municipalities. I have experience from working with local business people, local communities. And, I've proven to bring people to the table to get results. I've proven to put people for a common goal that have achieved results. Leadership is what we need.
Okay, thank you very much. And finally, our third candidate with your rebuttal, Laura Lucier.
Thank you. People that know me know that I'm an active and engaged member of our community, that I do what needs to be done, and that I'm looking forward to working hard for you for the next 4 years in the position of mayor.
Okay, thank you. We move on to our second question now for our candidates from the town of Kingsville. We have the three candidates here. And for question number 2, we start with you, Dennis Rogers. What are some of the challenges and the opportunities you see in the town of Kingsville?
Well, I think, we're definitely in a fortunate position that, Kingsville want to move here. So we really have an opportunity to be able to do it right. On the economic growth side, it comes in a couple ways. I think bringing people to spend money into our town, getting people to move to our town, and keeping people from leaving our town. We need to continue to develop tourism in the hospitality sector so that we can support our small businesses. We need to look at supporting infrastructure. We need to look at services. At the end of the day, towns should be great at the basic things. So that's roads, that's services, that's infrastructure. We need to be working closely with our small businesses to ensure they're supported. On the housing front, we need to be ready for housing. I've had conversations with some local builders, and they're ready to go. I can bring them to the table as far as moving forward with housing, say for our new battery plant workers, but as well as attainable housing for our current residents. Because the last thing we want to do is the residents who have been here and their kids are here is for them have to leave because they can't afford it.
Okay, thank you very much, Dennis Rogers. Laura Lucia, will go to you now. 90 seconds, the current challenges and the opportunities you see in the town of Kingsville.
Thank you. Well, Kingsville has a great foundation. We're financially solid, our taxes are low, and we've been investing in infrastructure. So I think those are the basic building blocks that form the basis of moving forward. Some of our challenges, I think, are also our greatest opportunities. So the growth and development that Kingsville's experienced is fantastic, but it does bring with it some opportunities to ensure that we're managing growth and development in a way that the things that make Kingsville so attractive remain, and we continue to have that small town charm and that feeling of a small town community that people enjoy and appreciate. So our opportunities lie not only in developing our downtown and maintaining our downtown core, but expanding our other areas of Kingsville, our Ruthven Industrial Park, our Cottam Commercial District, and ensuring that all areas of Kingsville experience that same level of growth and development and positive movement forward.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we'll get 90 seconds on that question about the challenges and opportunities you see in the town of Kingsville for tomorrow's stop.
Well, what you probably noticed already is that all three of us realize that there are challenges because of the fantastic growth that has occurred. But the difficult part is to maintain the small town charm, as Laura said. And that's what our town is known for, and its friendliness. And you get those because of the small community that it is. As it's expanding, the challenge is to keep that going. And there's a number of ways that can happen because we're spreading out from the downtown. The downtown core has its restaurants, and it's losing its smaller businesses. It won't have much place to expand. The expansion happened in the east, which means big box stores. It's now charted for the west, which is probably going to be big box, and they put fast food restaurants in the north. So all the way around, the downtown core is going to be challenged. And I like to think of some good ideas for that, the opportunities that are there, because that's what people came for. The look of this town. They didn't come for a parking lot in front of a store. They came because this town looked good. And I have adopted the campaign slogan of Keep Kingsville Beautiful. And I think it's important that we do that many ways.
All right. Thank you very much. That is tomorrow's stop. Now with that question, with the responses we had, chance for a 45-second rebuttal, and we'll start with you, Dennis.
Well, I think we can't forget about our 60-plus community. We have a tremendous amount of retired citizens that rely on our programming, on our healthcare. So I think access to healthcare is integral for a healthy community. Number of primary care physicians per 100,000 people is at 100 for the province of Ontario. We're only at 25 in Kingsville. So we're underfunded, and the ministry knows this. I've had conversations with the Essex nurse practitioner-led clinic. How can we help? How can we support? How can we advocate? Keeping our healthcare in mind with everybody having access to it has to be top of mind for us moving forward.
Okay. And let's move to Laura Lucia now, 45 seconds.
Thank you. I think one of our additional opportunities for Kingsville on the Lake is to look at our waterfront. So I've recently brought a motion to council that will ensure that the information that exists, a study from 2006-2007, is brought to the new council's attention, and that some additional studies that IRC has been doing on water quality are brought forward so that in time for the 2023 budget deliberations, the new council can determine whether they want to invest further funds in looking at the water quality and the opportunities to leverage our waterfront in Kingsville.
Okay, and 45 seconds for you, Tamara Stomp.
I'd like to point out that one of the councillors already hit the Windsor newspaper about the nurse practitioner led funding that is being sought. So we know that the current council has been actively involved in making sure healthcare is expanded in the community for the retired set. But also, I'd like to point out that we have had a long history of water quality issues off our shores. And I've sat 11 years on Erica Council, and I know of the water quality study that was brought forward, but it's not the whole answer.
Okay, let's move on now. As you're watching this live, if you're watching just before 1 o'clock, we are live at the Windsor-Essex Chamber of Commerce with the candidates for the town of Kingsville. I am Mike Kakuk from AM 800. The morning drive, weekday mornings 5 to 9. We have all three candidates here from Kingsville answering questions and seeing where they stand on different issues. This will be staying up, so if you want to share it, if people are at work right now, you can't watch it. You can watch it a little bit later on the Chamber's Facebook page as well as the YouTube page. It will be up there leading up to the election on October the 24th. We move on to our third question now, and we'll start with you on this one. Laura Lucier, 90 seconds, and talk about some of the challenges that the town of Kingsville faces, that all towns do. They have their own issues they have to deal with. Talk about the issue of greenhouses, particularly lighting.
Okay, so thank you for the question. Our agricultural sector is obviously very, very important to Kingsville. It's what we were founded on. And the growth of greenhouses, which is permitted by the province on any land that is zoned agricultural, has created challenges and opportunities, and it's a bit of a divisive issue. So one of the things that the municipality can control is lighting. And the town of Kingsville over the last 4 years has led the way to pass an enforceable bylaw and to get compliance with our greenhouses in Kingsville to ensure that lighting has been controlled. And I think we've done a really effective job on that. I'm very proud of how we've handled that.
Okay, now let's talk about greenhouses and that lighting issue. Tamara Stomp, you have 90 seconds.
Well, Laura's correct. She was sitting on council, and council did bring forward a lighting and odor bylaw. And I think that the greenhouse operators are conscious of complying with it. They also are happy to comply with it because now they know it's in effect. The lights that you probably see there are not from Kingsville proper itself, are probably more from Leamington, whose bylaw is not total at this point in time. So that was a great ability to show how to effectively assist a greenhouse operator or any business with consultation and cooperation to get things done that work in the best interests of the community.
Okay, and Dennis, we'll wrap up this question with you about greenhouses and the lighting issue.
Yeah, no, thank you. I think one thing we have to, kind of agree is, our federal, provincial governments, are always going to support the greenhouses, as we should at the municipal level. These are food people. I've had conversations with OGVG. I've been inside the greenhouses talking to these stakeholders. We've had some tough conversations. I've been shown the lights. I've been shown the curtains. They've told me what they've had to do to get to this point. And Kingsville is 100% compliant. And then these stakeholders and these greenhouse owners, they don't want people not to be compliant because it looks bad on them. They want to continue to move forward and be a part of this community. There's $1 billion industry in our backyard. And right now we have an adversarial relationship with them. We need to break down that wall. We need to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. They need to be a resource to this community. And I can bring them to the table. I can have those conversations because Kingsville is a major player in Canada's food production.
Okay, Dennis Rogers, thank you very much. We'll get rebuttals now from all three of the candidates from Kingsville for 45 seconds. Laura Lucier.
Thank you. So in addition to controlling lighting, we also have bylaws to control odor and noise. So if there are issues in Kingsville and any residents are aware of any violations, they're certainly able to contact the town to let us know, and we will work with bylaw enforcement and with the greenhouses to ensure that there is compliance and that Kingsville continues to be a great place to live, work, and play.
Okay, Tamara Stomp, 45 seconds.
There are other people that can bring the greenhouse operators to the table besides Mr. Rogers. That's for sure. The greenhouse operators are very savvy, and they're into new technology, and it's going to change in the future. And I think that they want someone at the head of the table that they know is strong and has the ability to negotiate with them so that there's a principled approach. What the real issue with greenhouse is going to be is that they are expanding. And so they don't have enough water right now. The Union Water has put a moratorium on, and that's because there just isn't the capacity. So Kingsville will be grappling with that and the cost of it.
Okay. And one more rebuttal, Dennis Rogers, you have 45 seconds.
I sat in the last council meeting when there was an interim control bylaw, about the temporary foreign workers. And, I sat and watched the council vote on an issue that was waiting for the federal government to have policies and procedures and mandates for, which the provincial government was waiting for the federal government on their policies and their procedures. So us as a municipality, we voted on it because we wanted to clear it off our plate. As mayor, I'm going to be able to stand up, put a line in the sand when I realize something is bigger than we are and make the right choice.
Okay. All right. So there you go. Our candidates talking about the greenhouse issues, the lighting issue, and in the town of Kingsville, in that whole area, which is a really big issue. We are finding out about the town of Kingsville, the mayoral candidates there, Laura Lucier, Dennis Rogers, and Tamara Stomp with us. We're live at the Chamber of Commerce, streaming live right now on the Chamber's Facebook page, YouTube page. It'll be up there afterwards if you want to share it, or if you would like to watch it again or watch it in its entirety. I am Mike Kakuk from AM 800. We turn our attention now to climate change and how it's impacting all of us, including here in Windsor-Essex. And Tamara Stomp, we'll start with you. 90 seconds on this one. What steps will you take to protect the environment and infrastructure of one of our lakes, Lake Erie?
So this has been a topic I've been a student of for many years, since I spent 11 years on IRCA and learned about how important water quality protection was. I currently volunteer with a group called to try to get the NMCA, which is the National Marine Conservation designation for our portion of Lake Erie, which is in Pigeon Bay off the shore. And that's because we've got the big green blob, and that's because we've got water quality issues. And there is our Ruthven intake system to water everything in our region. So I have kept in contact with all of the environmental groups that I was involved with before. I read and watch all of this. I also think that there are certain things that we can do besides in addition to or besides a water quality study, which is to make sure that the effluent coming out at Lakeside Park and mixing with the water is filtered in some way. And that's going to come at a cost, which I hope and there are grants for, and which I hope that there are other partners for, because we're all in this together. And so there's a lot of things that need to be done about water quality, but remember, the biggest problem is the erosion on the shore, the wave action, the blob, which comes from other contributors. And so it's not just Kingsville that can do this alone. It needs partners at other regional, provincial, and federal levels. And I have the experience in all those levels that neither of my contenders do.
Okay. Now we go to Dennis Rogers, running for mayor's seat in Kingsville. 90 seconds. Talk about climate change impacts on the town of Kingsville and what you would do to protect the environment and infrastructure on Lake Erie.
Thank you. I think it's it's one thing to be an advocate for climate change and volunteer and be a part of it. It's another for it to be in your DNA. We started our business. It was a part of our business model from day one. It's who we were. Waste-free, no single-use plastics, biodegradable, recyclable. We've been doing that for thousands of people for over 10 years. That has always been top of mind for any decision we've made as far as business-wise, community-wise. We get a couple quick wins. We can enforce the motion that current council made for no single-use plastics. Hasn't been enforced yet, but I think we can do that right away for any town events. I think we need to be looking at increased green space with all new developments. My team is telling me that IRCA has more permits in queue than the GTA. So, they need help. How can we help? How can we support? How can we work together to help them? let's get with IRCA to get a plan to improve our water quality. And I agree with candidate Stomp, is it is going to cost money. And one thing I can tell you about a business-minded leader is a high price tag does not scare me away when you have a plan and you can break it down and it's a long-term win. How can we help IRCA to help us plant more trees in our community? At the end of the day, trails, biking, healthy lifestyle. This is what we're going to help Kingsville be known for.
Okay, thanks very much, Dennis. And then 90 seconds for you, Laura Lucier, to talk about the environment and how it's impacting Lake Erie.
Thank you. So climate change certainly has some devastating effects. Erosion probably being the most detrimental in Kingsville, more severe weather, and drought, which not only affects our landowners and our folks living along the lake, but also our farm and agricultural industry. So these impacts of climate change, we know now that we have to adapt and we have to mitigate. And absolutely, we have to work with IRCA and with higher levels of government and with the region and with all of the Great Lakes cities and municipalities in order to find long-term, meaningful solutions. On my 4 years on council, I've been a strong advocate for the environment. I think that this needs to be one of the new council's priorities and that we need to move forward to make significant change and to look at sustainable planning measures and net zero growth and development.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we'll go back to the front and on this question for a 45-second rebuttal, Tamara Stomp.
So I think the question that you allowed Mr. Rogers to answer was a little bit more expansive about climate change in general than just protecting the environment and the water quality. So there's a lot more to be said. This issue takes too long than 45 seconds to rebut. But I can tell you that I've been part of the activist group and they are always making steps and suggestions about how to deal with it. I have connections with that and with all those people in the Windsor-Essex County area and beyond that have been working on this for a long time.
Okay, thank you very much. Dennis Rogers, your response.
Thank you. And I think, there's a tremendous amount of talent and expertise within Windsor-Essex, but I think, we need to look outside our municipality for answers. There's things that have been done that people have been successful with. And I'm a firm believer that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to come up with the answer. In this day and age, there's a lot of technology and resources that have been done and documented to be able to help for problems. So my goal and my strength is to bring everybody to the table with that expertise, and we come up with the best possible solution for our community.
Okay, and let's go now, 45 seconds to Laura Lucier.
Thank you. One of those additional resources that's available that I've joined is the Climate Caucus, which is a group of elected officials in the province of Ontario who get together to talk about, brainstorm, and share best practices on how we can mitigate climate change and make a better impact on the environment. So I think that's an important way to move forward and to remember that as a region, we do have a regional energy plan that gives us some great tools and suggestions and recommendations to move forward with.
Okay, thank you very much. We move on to our next question now. Our candidates will have 90 seconds to answer this question and then a chance for a rebuttal afterwards. And, you talked about, the region as a whole. A lot of our candidates have talked about that this morning and this afternoon. And increased integration with the city of Windsor, policing, transit, things of that nature. Dennis, we're going to start with you, Dennis Rogers, 90 seconds on your thoughts.
Well, I think at the end of the day, you got to look at traffic is a major concern for Kingsville. So if we're looking outside of our town, how are we going to be able to handle increased traffic coming into our town? We have a large 60-plus community that lives and retired within Kingsville. So how are we going to be able to provide active transportation for them? We have a mega hospital that's going to be coming out, which we're in support of. We want to make sure that it's easy for our residents to be able to get there and back. But at the end of the day, in terms of economic growth, we want every worker from that new plant battery, we want as many as possible to come to Kingsville. We want these new healthcare workers within the hospital to come to Kingsville and to pay taxes. So to me is how at our level are we going to be able to support that growth as well as provide new channels for transportation for our residents.
Okay, next up, we'll go to Laura Lucier for 90 seconds on, integration with the city, issues like regional policing and transit.
Fantastic opportunities, I think, for Kingsville to partner with the county and with the city in order to look at these regional services that are so necessary and so expensive. And if as a region we can work together to get better services for our community that make sense for everyone, then it's a win-win and something I would absolutely want to explore and look at moving forward with. So transportation in Kingsville, we know that our comprehensive master transportation plan that we've adopted says that we don't have the population or the need to support our own transportation plan, which is why working as a region is going to be the best option for us moving forward.
Okay, and increased integration with the city and other municipalities. Tamara Stomp, what is your thoughts on that?
Well, we already are cooperating with increased integration with the city and have been for a long time. And that's the point of the upper tier level of the county council. Our committees are associated with theirs. We have representatives from both. We also get to talk to all the other municipalities because the border at Kingsville doesn't land at Albuna Town Line, County Road 8, and Arner Town Line. If there's a water quality problem, it extends over the whole of the shore. That's not just us in Kingsville. It doesn't stop. And the same with transportation's been spoken of here. Transportation is county roads that get to Windsor. And we're cooperating on the hospital point because the county is raising levies for the hospital to be paid for. So the hospital's being placed at this beam field because it's supposedly going to make it easier for our residents to get to it. So the cooperation continues. I don't see any mayor that has in the city of Windsor that have refused it. And I know that the county residents the county municipal representatives are all known to each other. In fact, as I sat there for 4 years, I'm very well versed in who's doing what, who's interested in what, and all the other committees that we've worked together on. So I think I have a working relationship coming forward.
Okay, thank you very much, Tamara Stomp. Now we'll have 45 seconds for a rebuttal for each of our candidates. We'll start with Dennis Rogers.
Yeah, I think we all can agree collaboration is king. I think we look at Windsor-Essex, invest Windsor-Essex. We need to leverage more support for our businesses and our manufacturers. Collaboration with the city of Windsor. We need to work with Mayor Dilkins, who's the new chair of the new Housing Supply Action Team. Kingsville wants a seat at that table. We want to be able to have a conversation. Attainable housing is an issue in our town, and we have a resource in a brand new committee that's right down the road.
All right, and let's go next to Laura Lucier. Your rebuttal to the questions, to the answers. You have 45 seconds.
Thank you. You mentioned police services, and I think again, we have an opportunity in Kingsville to look at the services that we're getting. And I've heard from residents as I've knocked on doors to say that the kind of community policing that we need in Kingsville is something we need to maybe look at and renegotiate. And if there's an opportunity for regional cooperation and other opportunities for collaboration, that could be very beneficial.
Okay, and we have 45 seconds for you, Tamara Stomp.
Well, the Windsor-Essex region is integrated in the sense that a lot of our workers a lot of our residents go to work in Windsor and in other towns. And we're part of the Statistics Canada recent release of stats for business openings and closings. And the growth rate in Windsor-Essex is 19.1%, only one of two areas in Canada that posted double-digit growth. And this, again, does not stop at the borders of the town. We're all interactive, and this has to continue. It will continue because I travel to Windsor for work, and because there's a courthouse there when I do my day job of being a lawyer. And so I know and drive through all these communities to see how important they are to the whole of the region.
Okay, thank you very much. So that is their thoughts. The candidates for the town of Kingsville on some of the issues facing the town when it comes to integration with the city. We move on now to a question and a topic that's been a big issue as of late in any part of Windsor-Essex and maybe a lot of parts of Ontario as well, and that is housing affordability for residents in this area. And Laura Lucier, we'll start with you on this one. Your plan to address housing affordability.
Yes, this is definitely a critical issue for our residents. In Kingsville, housing is not just unaffordable, it's also unavailable. So we have a shortage of housing. And this is something that I think we need to address with the private sector, to work with developers, to allow developers to come up with creative ideas, to develop opportunities for smaller lots and smaller homes that can be more affordable, to work with developers to find the missing middle, to develop multi-residential units and incorporate those into all new development, and to ensure that we are being creative and finding ways to incorporate more accessible, affordable housing for young families, for our seniors, for our people coming into work in our service industry in our community.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, 90 seconds for Tamara Stomp on housing affordability.
I agree that this is a huge issue. It stops our children from coming home to live in the community again, raise their children like I was able to do. It also impacts the residents who are already in Kingsville, who cannot find alternate accommodation if they need to downsize in their later years. But it also affects the retirees who are on a limited income. So this is somewhat difficult of an issue. I know that I've read Catherine Levesque of the Windsor Star question whether home buying would become more affordable again. And the answers are that it's not likely in the short term. It's got to do with bigger issues than town council can control. It depends in the medium term if housing prices go down, wages go up, and interest rates drop. And there's controversy over whether increasing the interest rates really does anything for the little guy. So let's talk about what the town can do, which is it can make permit processing easier. It can support construction workers. I realize that the previous mayor, Nelson Santos, was already contacting construction companies and those responsible for putting up different kinds of housing that may have different affordability to it, which is what is the real key. When we put up an apartment building so that people can afford to live in that because they can't buy a home and they need to pay rent, they don't have to go out of Kingsville to do that.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so housing affordability, Dennis Rogers, you have 90 seconds.
Thank you. This one's very close to me. My sister and I, we grew up in affordable housing in Kingsville. But to me, the first thing we have to do is we have a 2018 affordable housing study, which names the KPS and KDHS properties, and they haven't been updated. So to me, is the first thing we have to do is we have to update it. I'm not going to have the taxpayer reach into their pocket to come up with new ideas and new solutions when we've paid for a study that could have some data that can help us now. There's solutions and data that it's out there. We don't need to come up with the new ideas. I've had conversation. I agree. It's within talking with the builders and the developers. I've had conversation with two of Kingsville's biggest builders, and they're ready for a solution. I think we need to continue to work with our MP and our MPP for help and support, for funding, and for infrastructure and for services. And they also too, there's a ton of technology out there in our neighboring communities for attainable housing. So I think collaboration is there. I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel. I don't think we need to say that, we have the solution. What we need to do is look for the data that's out there, bring people to the table, collectively work as a team to find the best solution for our community. And that's what I do as Dennis Rogers as mayor.
Okay, and now we have 45 seconds for rebuttal from each of our candidates on what they just heard or other thoughts they might have. Laura Lucia, we'll start with you.
Thank you. I think you hear the passion, but also the frustration, not only at this table, but across the county, across the province, and across the country. This is a huge issue. It's a complex issue. If there were easy solutions, we would have fixed this already. So we need to work together and collaboratively to embrace new ideas and to find new solutions in order to tackle this really complex issue.
All right, thank you very much. We'll go to Tamara Stomp now. Your rebuttal, you have 45 seconds.
Well, I agree with Laura that it is a complex issue, and it is all across Canada and in other countries as well. And this is because of the inflation rate and all of the adverse things that are happening. COVID did not help a lot with this issue because we can't look to past studies because that is an anomaly. And so we're back on no man's land right now, figuring it out from the beginning again. And so the town has the ability to put, some stuff into play, but not all of it. And we need to coordinate with province and feds and talk about it as a long-term plan.
Okay, and one last rebuttal from Dennis Rogers.
Thank you. Yeah, I might have to disagree with you a little bit there, candidate Stomp, as far as, data prior to the pandemic, because, the KPS and the KDHS properties were both named in that study. So there is data and stats that we need to use, because those are highly sought after properties, and those are the properties that are named every single time when we talk about attainable housing. So just to disregard that data, I don't think is smart. At the end of the day there's a provincially appointed position, Mayor Dilkins, who's the chair of the New Housing Supply Action Team, which deals with attainable housing. Kingsville wants a seat at the table. We want to have a conversation. Dennis Rogers will get us that conversation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We have time for one more question, then we're going to get your closing remarks here as we're talking to the candidates from the town of Kingsville, live from the Windsor-Essex Chamber of Commerce. We have the candidates from Lakeshore coming up at around 1:40. So if you want to stick around for that. One last question has to do with small business. It is the backbone of any town, all across the country, small, medium-sized businesses. And for this one, Tamara Stump, we'll start with you. What would you do to help small business, medium business size in your town of Kingsville?
Within the town, there are many restrictions, because we need to provide the atmosphere for small and medium businesses to thrive. They usually don't have the capital. There's a lot of them that have moved home during COVID and are still striving there. The ones that want to come back downtown or to open up storefront are finding a difficulty because of the high cost of rent or buying, to be unable to do so. But those small businesses are the ones that are really, as you said, the backbone of the community, because when someone comes down to, well, let's give an example, which is if someone comes down to Kingsville because they love the restaurants, and people do that from Sarnia and London and other places just for the evening. They've got nowhere to shop around in because the stores close early, trying to be fiscally responsible for their staff, etc. And yet there are the artisan shops and the boutique shops that need to be opened up, but there's no place for them. That's my problem with everything being big box of expansion, and there has to be plans for them to be in smaller locations, and where those will be. That is usually downtown core, but it's also zoned for in the waterfront commercial residential zone along the waterfront in Kingsville above the harbor. There are lots of opportunities, and there are things that the town can do, especially and has done with its new economic development officer.
Okay, thank you. We're talking about small, medium-sized businesses and what the town of Kingsville can do to support that. And as mayor, we'll go to you, Dennis, for 90 seconds. What would you do?
Thank you. I actually have to disagree with candidate Stomp again. I actually think there's a lot of things the municipality can do. I don't think there's a lot of restrictions that are going to be holding us back. I own a small business. I've led delegations to current council advocating for small business. We've been shot down. That was during a pandemic. This happened within the last 2 years. All of our small businesses need to be supported through our BIA and through our town. We need to work with our local DMO and our local RTO to help increase marketing and branding of our community. We need to increase the number of visitors to our town to help these businesses. We also need to make sure that the ferry is running. We have lost so many days and so much tourism dollars that have affected our business because of the dredging that's happening down there. It needs to be easy for our tradespeople to get permits. It needs to be easy for our small businesses to do business and open new businesses. I agree. Our small businesses has always been the backbone of this community. We've all felt the pain of small business owners of the pandemic, wondering where our leadership is. You'll never wonder where your leadership is with Dennis Rogers as mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. And supporting small and medium-sized enterprises, Laura, we'll go to you for your 90-second answer.
Yes, well, small businesses certainly are the heart of Kingsville. They're what make us unique. We're well known for our food and beverage industry, for our small retail shops, and lots of places that tourists like to visit to come to Kingsville, and that bring revenue to our area. And making it easier for those businesses, for the existing businesses to survive, to focus on business retention, to listen to those businesses, to do what we can as a town to support them is so important. And then business expansion, to look at the small businesses that maybe are interested in coming to Kingsville. And again, making it simple for them to relocate here, to open their business here. And I think we need a culture that attracts those new businesses, that values our existing businesses. And through our new economic development officer, we have a one-stop point of contact for all of our businesses, so that they don't have to go to 6 different departments to try and figure things out. They can go to that one person, and through that person be directed and be assisted in getting the services they need.
Okay. Let's get our rebuttals now to these questions and the answers that we've heard. We'll go back to you, Tamara Stomp, for 45 seconds.
Well, I think the only thing I can say is that Mr. Rogers is not the only person who's been involved in business. I'm a small business owner myself, and my family actually owned the store that Mr. Rogers is currently in for Greenheart, the business that he runs in the community. And he was the original butcher of Kingsville. So I worked there as growing up, along with my other sisters and my mother, in the business, and employed a lot of people in town that are still there today. So I'm very well aware of customer needs and how everything gets brought together in order to deliver. Delivery is what you can deliver with your specialty. And the specialty of the town is the permitting, is providing the opportunities, which they've done with the economic development officer, who is now in the process of cataloging.
Okay, we'll have to end it there, but thank you very much. Yeah, you guys have been doing good on time. That was just a little one there, so thank you. Let's go to you now, Dennis, for a 45-second response.
Thank you. A couple things. I think we need to continue to look at Invest Windsor-Essex, have conversations there. There's actually a local resident that's on the board, so I think we need to advocate to him to find out how we can continue to get more help and support for our manufacturers and our medium-sized businesses. Another thing we got to look at and agree is our absentee landlords. You know, we have some buildings that sit empty for people that don't live in our community and are collecting tax. So what pressure can we put on them? What can we do? Because I'll be honest, our downtown core was always our strength. You know, we've lost a little bit of ground there, but we can get that back.
Okay, and finally, 45-second rebuttal from Laura Lucier.
Agreed, Dennis. I think that our empty storefronts in downtown Kingsville shouldn't exist right now, and I have brought that to council to see if administration can come up with some recommendations for us to disincentivize those storefronts from sitting empty. So as we work on that, let's not forget about our other business areas, our Cotton business area, and continue to ensure that we're focusing on development in all areas of Kingsville.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, that's all the questions we have. We're going to move to our closing remarks for our candidates from Kingsville running for the mayor's race in the October 24th election. And we're going to start with Dennis Rogers. You have 2 minutes for your closing remarks.
Thank you again. I want to thank the Windsor-Essex Chamber, moderator. I want to thank the other candidates for being here today. You know, our team has been out, 7 days a week just during this campaign, because we feel it's really important to have a pulse of what this community wants. You know, what you're telling us is you want a plan. You know, and I'm a firm believer in data-based decision-making. You know, we take our current official and strategic plans, both have to be updated. We look at our comprehensive land study, which will give us some data on our zoning. We update our affordable housing study. We take these new development charge study and transportation study, and we look at that data. And we also take into account our asset management plan. So we have conversations with our council, our new council, on what they learned during the campaign trail and what they learned from our residents, because our residents' feedback is integral for our future. You know, so we then get our expert professionals at the town and the administration, and then we develop a long-term, detailed, time-actionable plan for the next 5, 10, and 20 years. You know, we need to preserve our small town identity, but that doesn't mean municipal experience isn't what we need. We need a leader who's going to bring the experience of our farmers, our businesses, our professionals, our residents, and our community together for a common goal and achieve it through results. I'm ready to be your public servant, Kingsville. Leadership is not about being the best. Leadership is about helping everybody to be better. And that's why you need to vote Dennis Rogers as mayor. Thank you.
Okay, Dennis, thank you very much. We have 2 minutes now for Laura Lucier, your closing statement.
Thank you. I'm Councillor Laura Lucier, and I'm running for mayor because I love this town, love the town of Kingsville, and I'm committed to working tirelessly with your elected representatives, with staff and administration, and with higher levels of government to move Kingsville's agenda forward. With a clear vision, we can work together to achieve our goals and ensure that Kingsville remains the safe, friendly community with the small town charm that we all love. Thank you so much for your support.
All right. Thank you very much. And to close things up, we go to Tamara Stomp.
Thank you for this opportunity. It's very much appreciated. I hope the listeners realize that there's a short amount of time to answer all these questions, and there's a lot.
There is. It is a timed debate here. Yes.
I want to promise that I am going to pay attention to everything that is said when someone talks to me about something. And that has always been the case. I'm a good listener. I'm a deep listener. And since I have some experience in a lot of the issues, then I know how to take it to the next step. It is important to have some plans. Those plans some are already in play. For example, we have a master transportation plan now that's already been passed. So we have ways of dealing with accessibility and active transportation and new routes to stop the downtown from piling up. But really what we need is to be flexible in our plans. The plans need to be flexible because things get thrown a curve like COVID. And we have to recover from those, and we've done well in doing so. Kingsville's been positioned well to do so because it's small enough and has a friendly enough atmosphere that everybody wants to be at. I don't know that it has trouble attracting residents. It doesn't have trouble attracting businesses. What it does is it needs parameters for that growth so that it remains a small, quaint town it has always been, so that the people who live there and who came there still want to stay there. And that retention is what you always want: business retention and resident retention, as well as some expansion. Expansion going too fast has its problems, and that is the part that we're leading to with all of these discussions, as why there needs an important person. An important position is the person at the head of the council table, and that person is not looking for everything to be grand, but for everything to be workable and balanced.
Okay. Thank you very much. Hey, we're out of time. That was great stuff. And I'm glad we were able to get all together here at the Chamber of Commerce and get people to hopefully share this with their friends on Facebook and YouTube, and let people know that this took place with the candidates in the town of Kingsville. If you're having a hard time maybe getting information about the election and you want to educate yourself, share this with friends, family, watch it again. The election coming up October 24th. We're going to take a bit of a break. We're going to come back in 10 minutes with our candidates from Lakeshore. Two candidates there, the current mayor, Tom Bain, and the deputy mayor, Tracy Bailey, will be here. We'll come back with that and also have an hour with them to get some questions in. Right now, let's go back to from the Windsor-Essex Chamber of Commerce, Rakesh Naidu.
Thanks, Mike, and thanks, Dennis, Tamara, and Laura. That was a great debate. We wish all of you the very best. Kingsville has tremendous potential, and we're very sure that the town will elect a great council and a great mayor and take the municipality forward. The chamber looks forward to working with whoever gets elected on October the 24th, and we wish that the best candidate win and take the municipality forward. Mike, again, thanks for doing an excellent job in moderating the debate. And for those of you who are watching us live, there will be a recording of this. You can share with others. That will be available on our YouTube channel later today. And the next debate will be with the candidates from the town of Lakeshore, and that will start promptly at 1:40 p.m. Again, thanks for joining us. Thanks to all the candidates, and wishing everyone the very best. Thank you.